Hey, what's up guys? Ryan here with the Rona Project. Just wanted to give you like a little intro to this video. This is actually Jason's blog style video, and I picked some questions from Monday's video towards Jason and had him answer those for you. So I just wanted to kind of give just a little quick, I don't know what you'd call this, I guess, just kind of a quick intro and let you guys know that I was trying to get this video up yesterday, but since it was Jackie and Jason's last day in Missouri, I decided to put the video off for one day and upload it today. So apologize to you guys who were expecting a video last night. I Twittered it and posted a bulletin on YouTube letting you guys know I wasn't going to be able to put a video up today. But just wanted to keep in contact with you guys, let you know kind of what's going on with that, and enjoy the video. See you around.
So this is my first video on YouTube channel. For those of you guys don't know, well, of course you're not going to know because you've never seen me before. I'm Jason. I'm Anthony's dad. My wife and I and our other kids are here visiting Ryan and his family in Missouri. We came out, and last Sunday we went to Burlington, Kansas, where Anthony was living, and went through his stuff. And that's kind of one of the things we wanted to do for coming out here. Anyway, Ryan said he had received a number of requests about getting us on, either myself or my wife Jackie on. You might see glimpses of her. She's not the most what's the word I'm looking for? A confident person. She's super shy, and she has to have her film face on and all that before she'll let Ryan even take a peek at her with a camera. Anyway, so that's me. Some of you guys might know my DeviantArt account, Vermithox40. My page actually blew up when Anthony announced that I had a page on there. So a lot of the viewers I have are just due mostly because of him. Somebody had a question for me earlier on. I don't remember who it was, but somebody had asked how old I was. I'm 40. Hence that's where my DeviantArt name comes from. I'm probably not going to change it to 41 or 42 or 43 as years go on. I'll probably just leave it like that. But I'm 40 years old. For those of you who wonder, that's how old I am. Anyway, Ryan has about 11 questions that he kind of sorted through and narrowed down through, I guess, a number of questions that you all submitted, and I'm going to answer those here for you tonight. Okay, good with logos, not that good with people and bodies. What I recommend to a lot of folks, me personally, what I use, now Anthony was way far advanced to even use this technique anymore, but I still use the stick figure technique, where I start off with a basic stick figure and in the position that I want, and then I flesh it out. And if you look at any how-to drawing books, how to draw manga, how to draw Marvel comics or DC comics or whatever, they're all the same. Most of them will recommend that you start off with a basic stick figure and flesh it out from there. And that's a good foundational point. And as far as body, if you're not sure what bodies look like, my other recommendations, either a book or an anatomical chart. So either an anatomy book, which shows the musculature of the human body without the skin, and or like just a little chart that has kind of the same things, just so you can get an idea for what the muscles look like without skin. And also actually bodybuilding magazines, like Muscle and Fitness. And I think there's a women's version of Muscle and Fitness if you guys, if you want to do the female figure. But those are really good reference guides, and they're pretty cheap if you want to have those to look at on hand. Plus there's numerous sources on the internet. You could do the same thing. You could probably go to sites of anatomy on the internet. One area that I found really helpful so far, as far as anatomy and getting body positions and angles and things like that of the human figure, is posemaniacs.com. Free site. I got that idea from other folks on DeviantArt, and it's actually really cool for reference. You just go on there, and they have all these different like practice modes that you can use and things like that. And I just started that, but it's a lot of fun, and you'll see some improvement. Plus they have all the figures that are on posemaniacs.com are all done in kind of like an anatomical sense, where they're human figures, male and female, with no skin, so you kind of get to see the muscles and that sort of thing. Okay, well, as far as art supplies and paper, it depends on what you want. Like rough paper, I found is good if you're just doing like practice sketches and things like that. If you want, because some artists like the feeling that their pencil is gripping the paper. But if you want more like subtle and smooth hues, I would go with like a smoother type of paper. So. I don't know the exact. Usually, what I do is when I go, because I'm not, I couldn't tell you which type of Bristol is better than what type of Bristol or Bristol board or paper or anything like that. Usually, what I'll do is before I buy a tablet, what I'll do is I'll just kind of give it the the little smooth test where I'll just put my hand on it and see if it's got a rough or a smooth feel. Now, I like when I do like a lot of things when I do my submissions on DeviantArt. A lot of those I do on Bristol board. The reason I like Bristol, there's a little bit of a rough Bristol, which is good for some light watercolors and that kind of thing, and there's a smoother Bristol, which is good for either pencils, colored pencils, or Prismacolor markers, which are kind of my favorite thing to use right now. But what I've noticed is the rougher Bristol paper is a little bit more absorbent, and when you're shading with, say, Prismacolor markers or Copic markers for that matter, the hues tend to look a little bit darker. Now, if you go with a smoother Bristol board, there's not as much absorption, and your hues will look a little bit more like what you expect them to look like. Plus, the smoother Bristol is actually easier for shading. So it kind of depends on what you want. I mean, every time you're gonna ask a question like this, you're not necessarily gonna get a specific answer. More or less, a lot of artists, because I've done the same thing. I've been in your boat where I've said, "Hey, what do you prefer? What about this?" And other artists will tell me, "Hey, you just got to go and mess around with a few things and find out what you like best." But as far as paper goes, just regular sketch stuff. The rougher paper is good for your sketchy drawings and stuff. But if you want nice smooth hues, just look for like a nice smooth or poreless paper. Or like a smooth Bristol. Oh, I don't know if I've really started, but I've always loved to draw. Like I'm sure, like most of you that are out there that are watching these videos and that follow the DeviantArt site, Anthony's Deviant Watch, and following the Rona project. I was just like you. I was inspired by comics and things like that. I've just always liked to draw. I've never actually really taken my art serious. I never saw it as anything more than a hobby. That's just because of how my family was. I came from a working class family, and that was the focus: is you got to get a job, and we don't know if there's really any money to be made in artwork, so you're going to work. So I never really took it seriously until probably this last year, when I actually started practicing. I started getting a lot of advice from Anthony, asking him how to do this and that and the other, and he provided some guidance. But so hopefully, you'll see some improvement with me as we go. But as far as getting started, just like all of you, I don't think there was nothing just said, "Oh, I'm going to get an art." I just love to draw. It's just been a hobby. It's a lot of fun, and I like doing it, just like a lot of you. So, and that's pretty much how I got my start, I guess you could say. Okay, so as far as drawing a character that comes out of my mind when I create something, a lot of like what you guys see a lot of times, like for example, if you go to my DeviantArt page, I know I'm plugging it a lot, but I just use it as a reference. You'll see there's not a lot of, I don't put a lot of my sketches and stuff on there, mostly because my sketches are crap, in my opinion, when I see them. But the things that you guys see there are probably the, I don't know, third or fourth try of a concept that I was trying to put down on paper, and it finally kind of came out looking the way I want it to look. So yeah, don't get discouraged when you're drawing things, when you're trying to come up with a character. You just play around with sketches. You start off with just a base sketch of kind of that idea you want, and then you just kind of keep messing around with other ideas, add something here, take away something there, and that kind of thing. And then ultimately what you'll end up with is the character that you want. You'll be able to end up with more of what you wanted when you originally conceptualized it. But that's usually what I use. It's kind of like a process with me. I start out with, like I said, a basic figure, and kind of start putting things together, and the idea is what I want. And as I go through it, I try other things. I'm like, well, what is it going to look like with, say, this piece of armor, or maybe no armor, or this type of dress as opposed to that type of dress, that sort of thing. So you just kind of have to experiment, and what you'll see is that your ideas evolve. That you start off with something, and then actually it kind of changes into something else, and a lot of times you'll be surprised at what comes out. But that's generally how I do it when I come up with characters. It just never goes from here to the page directly. It just never comes out that way for me. So, but that's what I do. Yeah, no, Anthony never went to art school. Matter of fact, he did take art in high school, which was good for him, easy A for him. And he did actually submit some of his art to some contests back in high school, which got a lot of praise and a lot of honorable mentions and things like that. But no, he never went to any formalized art school. We had talked about it at one time. He wanted to go to the Academy of Art College, but he moved out to Missouri, and we talked about if he wanted to go there and move him back. And I think ultimately, I think when he decided he just didn't really care to go to school, he did move back to the Sacramento area with us for a short time because he wanted to go back to school, and he went to art school. Or actually, he started out at junior college and took some art classes, and after that he just decided, nope, you know what, school's not for me. Everything that they're teaching me I already know, and I really don't need any type of schooling. And he didn't. And matter of fact, I'll give Conan White a little bit of plug. He's an artist for DC Comics, and I asked him the same question because he's very good. And he's got a DeviantArt account also. I think it's Conan02 if you guys want to check it out. But it's very cool. But he said the same thing. He went to school for about a semester, and he said, "No, it's not for me." And then he went on to do his own. So, and that was Anthony. Anthony just was talented in that way, and he was, like you guys are following, he was on his way to creating his own personal manga, which, not just in my opinion, but from a lot of feedback we've got, is just as good, if not better, than a lot of professionals that are out there already published now. But yeah, no formal training for Anthony at all, other than a semester in junior college and his time in high school. For me, reference material, I use reference material all the time because usually I use reference material more so for just to kind of for reference as far as shadow and light, when the light sources come in, how it's going to look, where the shadows are going to fall and that sort of thing. And sometimes, angles, body positions, things like that. When I want to achieve a certain look, I will definitely use reference material. And as far as musculature goes as well, I use reference. But me personally, I use reference material a lot. But what I've noticed is certain aspects of my drawing, certain parts of the muscles and things like that, I'm able to do on my own with no reference material, because I've just been doing it so long. But generally that's what happens. You can even start off actually copying somebody else's work. Just pick out a page from your favorite manga or your favorite comic and draw a couple of the scenes in there, and you can draw it just like they're drawing it, and ink it just like they've inked it, or what have you. But the more you do that, even though you're copying someone's work, when it comes time to draw your own stuff, you'll find it's easier for you to actually draw those things and shade a certain way, achieve a certain body position without using reference. But I use reference on a pretty regular basis, and I use, like I said, bodybuilding magazines, anatomical charts. I'll use even, my wife will get a Victoria's Secret catalog in there, and I'll even use that as reference. Just because those are good views for bodies and that sort of thing. But yeah, I use reference material on a regular basis. I'm not, for a lot of you guys that have ever seen my work, backgrounds are definitely a weakness for me. I have a lot of work to do on my background, so I don't know how much good this advice would be, but as far as making it look like the sun is beating down, depending on what the landscape that you want, remember, you could just picture like the sun as a light bulb hanging over your picture. And if you look at a light bulb casting its light down towards something, like in this camera angle, for example, you can see that the light is actually coming from my left, but it's coming from the top and to my left. And you can see how the shadows fall in line with that. So you look in here, you can see the shadow on my neck, you can see the shadow of my nose and my cheek, and so this side of my face is darker than this side because of the way the light hits it. And the sun is no different when you're talking about sunlight. If you're doing it on mountains or trees or buildings or what have you, it's kind of the same principles apply. So they'll be lighter towards, the closer towards the light source the object is, the more bright or light it's going to be, and the further away it is, the more dark or shadowy it's going to be. So as far as making the sun beat down, you could probably do maybe a darker contrast on the very darker parts and leave the other parts bright. That'll if you have darker shadows below and then like not much shading above, that'll make it seem like the sun's really coming down and really shining kind of bright. I hope that answers your question. If not, you send another question, I could probably answer it via email. But I hope that's answered enough. Like I said, background is not my strongest point, but I hope that helps. Yeah, better. Okay. As far as fighting poses, like I think what you're saying is more dynamic poses, more action. The best advice I could give you as far as that is just over exaggerate the body position. So instead of trying to make an action pose or say a fighting pose in a realistic way, if you notice a lot of the if you look at any manga, you look at any comic where there's action, you notice the poses and the body positions are really exaggerated. So like overly done, like extreme angles, things like that. What that does, because I was like that when I first started out. I mean, just trying to do action stuff, I did it in a more realistic way, and it doesn't have. When you do it in a more realistic way, it's kind of dull. Actually, it's kind of dull, and it falls short of what you want. Over exaggerated body positions really imply like more action, movement, speed. It makes your drawing a little bit more dynamic. Try really light strokes. As far as doing your action, and like what I do, I'll start with a stick figure first in kind of the position that I want, and just really over exaggerate the position you want. Like depending on if it's a deep stance or something like that, or if he's drawn back to punch. As a matter of fact, like so, I'll demonstrate. So instead of the regular look for drawing, if I'm going to punch somebody, it's probably going to be like this. But if you want to imply more action, you might make the head down and bring the fist way back like so, and you can kind of see my arm in the background. That makes it look a little bit more like there's a wind up and the punch is coming. So just the two differences, like this as opposed to this. This actually even implies more dynamic, like you can tell that something's coming this way and it's probably going to hurt, as opposed to this, which is probably a little bit more realistic. It just kind of looks like I'm holding my fist here. So that's an example, but yeah, just really relaxed, swift strokes, and with your exaggerated body positions, and you'll see like more action. You'll see a little bit more dynamic poses, which is I think what you're trying to portray.
My question for Jason actually is, where did you get your inspiration for your artwork? Like, what kind of things did you read when you were a kid growing up? What kind of artwork did you start off doing? That kind of thing.
Yeah, without a doubt, hands down, it was Conan the Barbarian. In case you haven't noticed, for those of you who have checked out my site, there's just a lot of kind of barbaric, Middle Ages, swords and sorcery type stuff, and I've always been a big fan of that for as long as I can remember, and it's just kind of the things that I like to draw. But yeah, definitely Conan the Barbarian. One of my favorite artists from back then actually was John Bolton. I don't think he ever did any Conan the Barbarians, but he did something called Murata the She-Wolf, which took place in like ancient Rome, and those were always good stories, and his artwork was phenomenal. But Some of my favorite artists from back in the day were guys like Ernie Chan, John Buscema, who else would think, Val Myrick, and countless others that illustrated the Savage Sword of Conan that was then put out by Marvel. But Dark Horse Comics actually, I think, owns the rights to Conan now, and they put out some really great stuff with some really talented artists. Carrie Nord is definitely one that I can think of right now that's just awesome. And also, a lot of you guys probably aren't familiar, but Richard Corbin, who's been around for, gosh, I've been following his work probably for over the last 30 years. Is just an amazing artist. He makes cameos and does pieces in these Conan comic books, these graphic novels, which is really very good because he's very good with very talented with paints and oils and that sort of thing. And to see him do comic book type stuff is really cool. But those are some of my favorite things. I grew up reading Savage Sword of Conan, following that comic book, and those are that's kind of my inspiration and kind of my favorite genre, I guess you could say. Gosh, right now I can probably only do about maybe 25 push-ups without taking a break.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm serious. There was a time when I could do a lot more. I used to be able to do like 15 pull-ups and stuff like that. But now, just because even at 40, even though I don't look old, my whole side of my mom's side of the family all has crooked backs and Rice Krispie knees, and I'm starting to feel the effects of that now. So, I wish I could be. I wish I was. I don't know, I'm not too proud to say I could probably do 45 push-ups now, because if I say I could do more, there's always going to be somebody out there that wants to put me to the test and back me into a corner. So I'm just going to be straight up, because it's easier to tell the truth at the beginning and maybe get a little flack about it, as opposed to like lie about something and then they call on it later on. Got in trouble like that a few times in my younger years, and I've learned that lesson. So don't worry, when I can do more than 25 push-ups, I'll let you know. I still got a little bit of a golf ball there, even though I'm 40. I still got I'm not huge, but I could probably do some damage. Anyway, thanks to Ryan for giving me the opportunity to be on camera for the first time, and you know what, and I've never got to thank all of you, as much as I wanted to. I think in person, for all your great comments and your inspiration, and your concerns, and your compassion for our loss, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate everything that you guys have done for us, the messages you sent. I especially appreciate the fan art. You guys have no idea. Again, I've said it a million times to a lot of folks, but me being an artist, and Anthony being an artist, that kind of thing, when you guys do fan art and things like that, to me, there's just no better or more heartfelt way of honoring a fellow artist than by, doing art, or submitting your own art from their characters or what have you, trying to emulate them through your own art. And I really appreciate that. I'm very touched by that, and I just need to let you guys know how much that really means to me when you guys do a piece of fan art. I love that, and I tell you, my family loves it, and I really can't say enough about that. Again, I just want to say thank you all for your support, for following the Rona Project, and for being patient and staying with us until we see it through. And like I said, I can't say thank you enough to all of you who have been as supportive as you have been. I mean, you guys, other than the videos and watching the DeviantArt, you don't know us, but you've done really so much for all of us, for all of Anthony's family, and I have to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. There's probably too much more that I could, or actually, I'm at a loss for words right now. You can see me kind of stumbling over myself, because I just can't really get it out enough, how great it has been. Hearing all your comments and seeing all your submissions, and a lot of you guys are super talented. I get really motivated when I see your work. when I hear a lot of times that you tell me Anthony is inspiration to you, that motivates me, and that makes me want to keep going. So again, thanks, and we love you guys for doing that. Oh, is it recording right now?
Yeah, it's recording. I'm just letting it go. So.
I'm like,
For now.
I just saw
It's easy to just cut.
I just saw the little thing. I'm like, good thing I'm not like popping a zit or picking my nose or something.